Welcome everyone to the Open Day Social Work and Community Welfare panel. I'm Cody and we're going to run through some frequently asked questions about studying social work and community welfare. We'll give you an idea of what study options are available to you and also talk about what the career in this field would look like. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge we are on the land of the Bundjalung Nation today and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. Today I'm joined by student Danielle, graduate Kirsty Faulkner, lecturer Clarissa Hitchcock and senior lecturer Erica Roos. Hi everyone, can I please ask you to introduce yourselves and what your connection is to Southern Cross University? And we'll start from the start.
Hi, my name's Clarissa Hitchcock. As mentioned, I'm a lecturer here at Southern Cross and have been for the last, almost 7 years. Prior to that, I did about 20 years in industry, so I'm a social worker and worked primarily in child protection, so worked with children and families in statutory child protection for about 22 years.
Hi, I'm Danielle. I'm a second year Bachelor of Social Work student here on the Gold Coast campus. Yeah, that's it.
My name's Kirsty, so I'm actually a former student here. I graduated with my Masters of Social Work Professional Qualifying. I also actually had some connections through a program that I coordinated where SCU was doing some research, so that was great. And I'm currently working as a Men's Behaviour Change Program Facilitator and also Family Support.
Hi, I'm Erica Ross. I'm Senior Lecturer, Course Coordinator for the Master of Social Work and the Field Education Director, and field education is pretty important. I come to teaching here with about 30 years industry experience across a range of areas. Yeah.
Amazing. And Erica, I would like to start with you. What is the true difference between our Bachelors of Social Work and the Bachelors of Community Welfare?
So the two bachelor's program both are based on issues of social justice, human rights and really strong values. The social work degree is a 4-year degree which qualifies people from specific social work roles and accreditation for social work. The Bachelor of Community Services is a 3-year degree where people are able to work in human services but some of the specialist roles, often working in non-government agencies but not exclusively, and probably a more practical sort of level. Social work has a little bit of research and has some policy and so forth in the training. So opens up a wide range of opportunities for people. And
I think now I really want to get to the beginning with you, Danielle. Why did you choose social work? It is a very a giving degree and a giving career. What made you choose it? Did you have lifestyle experiences that made you want to go down this sort of career path?
Yeah, so I've got lived experience within mental health, the mental health industry. I've been the user of a social worker. And yeah, with what I've been through in my life, I really wanted to give back. I wanted to be able to use my life experiences to help others who have been in similar situations. I've also found myself as a user of social services that those facilitators with lived experience are easier for patients or clients or service users to connect to. And so I wanted to be one of the people that makes a difference in the industry and be able to give back to the community and help out.
Amazing. And Clarissa, can you describe to us what this course actually involves?
Yeah, so as mentioned, we have the Bachelor of Social Work, we have the Bachelor of Community Welfare, and we also have the Masters of Social Work Professional Qualifying, which is where you already have an undergraduate degree in human services primarily. So it's the units that we teach really come from a broad range of areas. So there's a lot of generic kind of subjects in sociology, psychology, human services, social sciences. We also, in social work, there's lots of social work specific units, so where there's subjects that are being taught to you that are specifically about building you as a social worker. And what's really important across all of the degrees is that it's a combination of both skills and knowledge. So we're not only teaching you the theory and the knowledge that you need to be able to practice in those areas, but also the skills that you need to be graduate ready. So it's about building you to be able to graduate from the programs and be able to work in the sector. And a really important part of that, Cody, is field placement. So in all of the degrees, you have the opportunity to go twice into placements in the sector. So in the Bachelor of Community Welfare, you spend 400 hours being guided and trained and supported by someone that's qualified in industry. And in social work, you spend 1,000 hours. So, and that's across 2 placements. So you have a really solid opportunity to be able to take the skills and the knowledge that we're teaching you at university and apply those in practice to help prepare you to graduate and be a practitioner in social work or community welfare.
And I think those hands-on skills are so important because it really backs up your theory, but also gives you understanding of the workplace setting that you may want to end up in. And I know so far, Danielle, you haven't gone on placement yet. You've done some of your prep work to start going on to your first placement. But besides the amount of hours you want to do, how do our students get ready? But also, how, more importantly, do they prepare themselves to go into these sort of workplace settings mentally as well?
I think Erica is Director of Field Education. I think you'd be great to respond to that, Erica.
So there's some basic requirements that people need to do, and we ask people to do some particular checks, those sorts of things. So a working with children check, for example. If people are wanting to move into health settings and things like that, they will need to have some immunisations to make sure that they're both protecting themselves but protecting the vulnerable people they may be working with. So those sorts of things. We ask students to complete some paperwork that tells us a bit about them and what they're bringing and what they're looking to learn from their own placement opportunity. And then people will go and have an interview, like a job interview, to go to their particular placement. The first placement is obviously a learning, and people really know that you're at the beginning of practice, and so there's lots of guidance and there's lots of opportunities to be curious and really, I'm here to learn, ask lots of questions, and people are really open and warm and welcoming of that, but really also give you some opportunities to test things out, to give it a go, what you've been learning in the course and starting to apply it. By the time you get to second placement, it's really about getting ready to become a graduate. And people can move from their final placement straight into work, and whether it's with the agency they're with, which happens from time to time, or into whatever other agencies they work for. There's really good opportunities in social work and community welfare. We've got really strong industry growth in the human services and health and social care industries where most people are employed, and so lots of job opportunities. And so that being job ready, being willing to be open and learn in those placements is really important.
Yeah, the networking sounds amazing in the fact that you can gain employment whilst you're studying from your first or your second placement, which is, I guess, the whole reason why any of us study is to get those hands-on skills and be able to get into the workforce. But I know a lot of institutions are different when it comes to placements and how to gain placement opportunities. Does the university organise the students' placements, or do the students have to go seek these out themselves?
Yeah, no, the university looks for placements because there's lots of students all over the place who are seeking placements. It's much easier to coordinate if the university does it, and that's why when we get students ready for placement, it's actually talking to them about what do they want to learn and getting the information that's going to help provide an appropriate match between the student and the placement agency. And we can place students from all over the country. So we do have the students studying online who are in other states, and we source placements across the country for students wherever they are. So we do that. We don't have students looking, because we also know that there's a breadth of placements that when you're new and when you're a student, you might not be aware of some of the opportunities. So that also helps us to find some broad things. We've got students at the moment who are working in disaster response in the local area. We've got students doing eco-social work, doing green activism, environmental activism. We've got students who are working in hospitals. We've got so it's quite a broad range, community agencies and so forth. So it's a really broad range of opportunities.
It sounds like the course, the job opportunities and the placements are all very, very diverse. I think they look different depending on who you are and what you want out of it. And now we've learned a bit more about the course and the options available. I think I'd love to hear from one of our graduates. And Kirsty, what have you done since you've graduated?
Oh, so much. So I've been able to do a lot of different things, and I was actually a bit of a late bloomer into social work. So I actually didn't graduate until I was in my early 40s. So my career trajectory went from a national sales coordinator for a big retail organisation to social work based on lived experience, and lived experience is really, really important in roles. So I actually was able to gain a role while I was studying, which actually was really great because I was able to apply knowledge that I gained through my course, and it helped me understand that a little bit more. So I initially actually started volunteering at a local women's refuge because my goal was to get into domestic violence sector, and then I was able to get into a program which was brilliant and had the opportunity to work with culturally and linguistically diverse or called women in a new program called 3 E's to Freedom, which is education, employment and empowerment, hence the 3 E's. So we were able to support women, about 60 women, in really diverse ways. So we had weekly swimming lessons and we supported them in understanding what their human and work rights were in Australia. We were able to help them access medical supports if they were denied access to that. I then, on graduation, I actually moved then into a completely different field and facilitating men's behaviour change programs, which is where I am now. So I've gone through a few and providing court support as well to users of violence, so understanding the legal system as well. So have really had an opportunity to do a lot of different things already, and I'm probably 5-6 years in to my social work career.
And Cassie, you did raise the point that you are a mature age student, and we may have some mature age students here in the audience who go, yeah, I really want to pursue social work. However, it's been such a long time since I've studied, and Southern Cross University has some fantastic pathways for you to gain entry. If you are a mature age student and it's been such a long time you study, even though you think, yep, I can jump into this. We have a fantastic fee-free bridging program called Preparing for Success program. It goes for 12 weeks. It's all focused on basic skills such as academic writing, literacy and numeracy, all at a university level. And on the basis of completing that fee-free bridging program, you get direct entry into the Bachelors of Social Work or Community Welfare. So it's a great pathway to go. It's a great taste test of university. The best part about it, there's obviously no financial burden to really pursue that avenue and really test your skills to know this is the right path for me. If you are a school leaver here right now, grade 12, and really keen to study with us next year, apply for our early entry program. It's a fee-free application and it's based on your school's recommendation. We can talk about more of that after. If you'd like to come up at the end, we can talk about the way you should best apply. But now we know, I guess, about your career field, I'd love to hear from some of our academics on what other students have gone on to do. Is there any unique job positions that you never even knew existed either?
I think the wonderful thing about social work, sometimes it can kind of be the daunting component of social work, but I also think it's a wonderful thing about doing social work is that it opens the door up to so many different fields of practice. And so in your degree, we introduce you to a range of those different fields of practice, and certainly through placement, you have the opportunity to test some of those out to see if that's a space that you might like to work in. And upon graduation, there's an opportunity to kind of move into different spaces that interest you. Certainly for myself, it was working with children and families. I knew that was my area of interest, and I spent 18 years in statutory child protection in Queensland, as well as did some statutory child protection in the UK. And so it really opens a lot of doors for you, and certainly we're seeing that with our students, aren't we? And our students that graduate, that there is so many spaces that they can move into. And as Erica mentioned, green social work is a really emerging space for social work to be moving into and looking at, environmental impacts and how do we really promote human rights and social justice in those spaces and start to understand the impacts of environmental change on individuals as well as communities and societies. And so we have lots of students going to that space, going into disaster recovery. Erica, did you
I guess there's probably a couple of other things that are really emerging areas. We've had students who have moved into things like animal therapy. We've got students who are working in school roles, and the sort of New South Wales school roles have been relatively recent, but increasingly we've got people working in schools supporting students. We've got, after the Royal Commission, into aged care and into disabilities, the roles of social work in those areas is growing. So there's lots of new sort of an emerging areas that people can go into. I've had students do work in remote communities and doing community development work, so really doing much broad work. We've had students move into policy roles, writing policy for non-government agencies, large community agencies or government. So it's really diverse, the types of things that people can do with these degrees. Yeah.
Very diverse, and I've learned so much today already, which is good because there's actually such a big audience here today. It seems like they're all very passionate to get into the industry. But I'd like to know where it all starts. And Danielle, you're obviously in the thick of it, second year out of 4.
Yes. Yeah,
What has your university experience been like? Why was Southern Cross the right university for you? But also, how did you gain entry, as we were talking about entry requirements before?
So I'm 27 and I applied when I was 25. Obviously not straight out of school, so it had been a few years for me. It was really easy. I applied online. I was looking at the website at the Bachelor of Social Work and I had my HSC and that was all the requirements I really needed. So I just clicked the button that said apply now and followed the prompts. It was really simple. The reason why I chose Southern Cross is like I said, I've got life experience with social workers and I'd been chatting with them and they all said that Southern Cross was the best place to go. It had a really good reputation for the social sciences and it's also close. I live 15 minutes away, so it's nice and convenient. I also liked the fact that there's the option for not just on campus, but the flexibility of online. So if I have any work commitments come up or just life commitments, I do have the flexibility of studying online for the week if I need to. So, yeah.
I'm going to throw out one question, and this is to all you guys, but I'd love to hear from Kirsty first, since obviously past graduating. Do you have any advice for anyone who is just starting off in this sort of industry?
Yes, I do. I think for me, if I had have known that everyone has unique strengths, I think, we often compare ourselves to other people and each of you have your own unique strengths. And I think if I had have known that and really believed that going in, I think it would have been a little bit smoother. So you can really lean into those strengths and really build something that's unique to you, because I'm not academic at all. So was really able to lean into my practice. I think also networking as much as you can. Get newsletters from sector organisations to really start to build your knowledge around, what's available, and then that helps you again to create, career pathways, where you'd like to do placement. And I think too, knowing that the more you learn, the more you reflect on yourself, and also sometimes that value set that you have as a social worker may shift as well, which can then change some of the, how you look at things, which can also, be really positive, but also quite challenging as well. So I wasn't expecting that. That would have been something I would have liked to have known.
Any other feedback?
Probably that want to work with people. Obviously, that's the central thing. Most people who come to social work and community welfare, and it's not exclusive because we've had some really, particularly into the Masters of Social Work, people who've made really interesting career changes from accountancy, for example, into social work, really different careers. So you can come in with a previous degree, but people really have an interest in other people. Often people sort of other people who get told, you're a good listener. They're the sorts of strengths that are really common for people. And I think it's really just thinking about, social justice, human rights are really core commitments. So an interest in those sorts of things that might not be something you're really aware of at the moment, but if you're concerned about those sorts of things in any sense, this is an area and a pathway where you can develop that.
Yeah. And thank you so much. It's been so great to hear from our panelists today. We got an opportunity now to hear from the audience. And is there any questions that you guys would like answered by our panelists or myself? Make the most of it now. We've got time for a handful of questions. Preparing for Success program, the 12-week bridging program. Yeah, so we have 3 intakes a year, traditionally November, March, and July. You can apply for it now. It's a fee-free application. We do have our team just outside here who can do the application with you. It's just your personalised details and your tax file number and a few other things. And you can apply for the next intake in November. You can study at part-time or full-time. It's completely up to you. And like I said, on the basis of completing that bridging program, you do get direct entry into certain programs such as social work and community welfare, or any other course. Even if you'd like to change your mind once you get to the end of it and you decide to go down a different pathway route through that university experience, you can apply for any course we have to offer. Is that in person or online? Both options are available to you. One more question. Yeah, we can raise that one more time because I think it is quite important because they are two very popular courses. And Erica, I know you were raising it before. What is the true difference between the Bachelors of Social Work and the Bachelors of Community Welfare?
Yeah, so the two degrees are similar, but one's the 3-year degree, which has across 2 placements 400 hours of placement. The other is a 4-year degree, 1,000 hours of placement. So just in relation to the types of study you do, there is a broader range of sort of specialties you move into with social work across the different practice fields and a greater level of practice experience through the degree. When you qualify, there are positions that are specifically designated as social work positions, and so only social workers, people who have done an accredited social work degree, can do those. And so I guess those career pathways, you can do in some sectors similar roles, but the social workers have probably more career options and specialty options. Some people are really interested in doing counselling, and there are real limitations on, getting funding support, Medicare sort of support, etc., and only social workers can get that. So there's sort of some areas where it's definitely limited to social work, but broadly, the types of work people do in sort of social care sector can be quite common.
Yeah, and I think a point to raise is that if you do study the Bachelors of Social Work and the Community Welfare course, which is the 3 years, if you do want to make the change or complete that, go into the industry and wish to pursue extra study skills, you can come back and do the Masters of Social Work to gain that professional qualification if you're wishing.
And you do get credits for when you move from our community welfare degree into the Masters, you do get some subject credits.
That's fantastic. So you can make a decision along the way throughout the experiences, especially working with our academics and having those hands-on learning experiences. You can kind of finesse your course goals depending on where you're up to in your career. So thank you for joining us. If you have any unanswered questions, I'd love for you guys to join our panelist members just outside. They'll stick around for an extra 15 minutes just to talk about your questions one-on-one, if that's what you wish. If you are looking to apply for us, you can call our Future Students team on 1800 626 481 or email them at futurestudents@su.edu.au. It's been fantastic to see you guys today, and thank you again.